You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Sean L. Let and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Live on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 here in Studio 51. We will be interviewing this afternoon Eric Jonathan Brewer, the former mayor of East Cleveland, the most controversial man I've ever spoke to. And I'll tell you something, I like this gentleman. Stay tuned and watch and listen.
Oh, great. I can hear you now. Good. How's it going?
Man, I don't know if I must have walked past the cord and kicked it. How you doing, sir?
Okay. Hey, man, it's radio. We gotta make it work. I'm good.
Well, you know, I wanna make sure that you're okay. Did you have your coffee this morning?
I did. I'm actually drinking some cranberry juice right now.
Cranberry juice? I said coffee. Eric, coffee.
Oh, no, not coffee, man. That stuff will keep you up all day. I can take my naps.
You gonna have a nap this time of day?
Well, you know, I get up about 3 o'clock in the morning, so you know, throughout the day, from time to time, I get about 4 hours of sleep a day.
What you got?
I
Insomnia?
usually wake up about.
You got insomnia
No,
or something?
it's a habit. It's a habit from the days with the Guardian Angels. I was always on call. I had 300 members in 3 cities, Cleveland, Columbus, and Youngstown. And there was always some things that were taking place, either with the media or some of the patrols. So I got into the habit after talking to Jesse Jackson, who told me that he slept about 4 hours a night. And then I met other national people who slept about 4 hours a night. So it just seemed to be you can get more done on a 20-hour day than you can on a 8-hour day.
Well, I want to start over because I don't know if the mic picked up your intro. I'm gonna start over. I want to say on the phone. This is Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. On the phone, I got my man Eric Brewer on the phone. He's running for mayor for Cleveland. He's our 57th mayoral candidate, and for the 57th mayoral race. I want to say he's a force to be reckoned with, and this is a gentleman that I like very much, and I want my audience to know a little something about you. Before we get started in the interview, I would like for you to say a little something about yourself. Give your background, give your pedigree on your qualifications for being mayor for Cleveland.
Well, you know, I'm the only candidate who has actually served as mayor. I was a chief of staff to the former mayor of East Cleveland. I was a special assistant to Mike White part-time. I've been the chief of communications for CMHA and a project planner for CMHA, where I wrote the master plan for the first initial $22 million renovation of King Kennedy South. And I wrote some of the plan for that social services mall that exists there today. I served on the Financial Planning and Supervision Commission for the East Cleveland School District when the district was placed in a fiscal emergency. I served there for 2 years. I also was a candidate for Cleveland School Board in 1983. I received over 17,200 votes, 300 votes in that race.
That's good.
I campaigned for a seat on Cleveland City Council in 1984 against Jeff Johnson. At that time, Jeff Johnson was backed by Mike White. Mike had gotten council to appoint him to the seat that he vacated when Morris Jackson,
you didn't have any,
who was a state senator.
Well, you didn't have anybody supporting you, backing you up to at least run against him?
Actually, it was my dad told me not to. I should listen to him.
Yeah, you shouldn't have listened to your dad. No way. That's the one time you're supposed to ignore your father.
Yeah, well, that was, you know, Dad was, I was raised in politics under Dad, so Dad basically said not a good shot, and he turned out to be accurate in that, but it was a good lesson for me in terms of things that you learn from these micro campaigns. So it all helps in the long run.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I'm a journalist. I think a lot of people don't remember that I've been a journalist as much as I've been a politician. I started off at the Column Post in '78. I wrote for the Cleveland Press. I started my first newspaper at 26 in 1979, the Clique. I've published 12 newspapers since then. 2 of them have been statewide.
Right.
I've edited Cleveland Life. I think most people remember my Cleveland Challenger, which was my more popular newspaper. I mailed 197,000 copies of that paper to every household in Cleveland in 2003. It cost us about $53,000 for that.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Not many of your opponents have your type of background. So I don't understand what makes them think that they can outdo you in this campaign when you got this type of background.
Well, I think that it's different only in the sense that, you know, everybody has a right to run. They collected the 3,000 signatures. But in reality, there's only one person who's really qualified to serve, and not just serve, but to manage the city and be able to walk in day one and have an understanding of what's taking place in the mayor's office, and that is me. I am the most qualified candidate ever to seek this job. No candidate ever, black or white, has been as qualified as I am to perform this work. So that helps Cleveland if they think about this the right way.
Well, that brings me to my first question. Now, I have some questions written down here. Questions for Eric Brewer. Number one, what are you planning to do on your first day at office? I'm going to say when you become mayor. I'm not going to say if you become mayor, because I'm going to say you're going to become mayor. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that, because that's what I say. I'm beating Frank's ass. That's for real. Well, let me say, you know, the first day, and it's always those questions. I love those questions, because having been with mayors twice, I understand what the first day is like. So at 12:01 a.m., I have to be administered an oath of office on January 1st.
There you go.
So at midnight, 12:01 a.m., I have to be inside City Hall and have an elected official swearing me in. The next thing that you do is you take your ass back home, you get you some sleep, and then get up in the next morning so you can start processing yourself in as a new employee.
Yeah, but you only get 4 hours sleep. So how you gonna go in office and run the mayor's office and do all kick ass and take that vacuum cleaner and clean out that the mayor's office only on 4 hours sleep?
Oh, brother, I ain't going to do that shit. That's what, you know, you got 7,800 employees for. So that office will be clean when I get there the next morning.
All right.
So, you know, the first day is basically processing. You're filling in your paperwork. You're, you know, getting your employees that you brought in with you filled in, you know, processed through HR. You got to get the keys. You know, there's a car that the mayor is assigned to. The end of my privacy begins that day as I start now having to have a police officer around me all the time.
You got to get the locks changed because you got to get the locks changed because you don't want Frank coming back up in there while you're out on the street.
No, I ain't worried about that. No. When Frank is gone, Frank is gone. He's gonna be retired. Frank will enjoy his retirement. I guarantee it. It's those very rudimentary things that take place on the first day, the first week in office, and it's more of an acclimation period. The council has to organize and elect officers. So there has to be a reorganization meeting for the council president to be selected by the members of council. I don't know if the mayor presides over that meeting. We did in East Cleveland. The mayor had to preside over the first organizational meeting of the council until the council president is elected. And then the thing that most people don't
that's true because you are top dog, so you are there. So. You know,
absolutely. And I think the other thing that people don't understand is that, you know, the mayor it's almost like in the expression that you've heard in the past, the king is dead, long live the king. So that means that mayors exist in perpetuity, that one mayor, there is no one mayor. There is just one mayor. There's different terms, but that position exists in perpetuity. So that means that whatever Frank left on the desk on his last day in office, those problems are now mine. So if there was an HR decision or a termination that has to happen, I got to deal with it. If it's a contract that has to be signed, I got to deal with it. If it's legislation that council has to pass at the next meeting, I have to study that legislation and be comfortable enough with it so that if it's passed, that I sign it, and I sign it confidently, knowing that it's the right thing to do.
So in other words, you're going to take on the responsibilities that the previous mayor had before he completed them. He left office and he left all this dirty laundry for you, just like what they did for Obama. They left a big
Absolutely.
deficit for him to try to balance, and within an 8-year period. Do you think you can get it done?
Well, if you take a look at what's going to be on the table, you know, Frank is going to leave me with a 3-month budget instead of a 12-month budget. So that first 3 months, January, February, March, will be my staff getting acclimated to the budget that he left us with, and then getting prepared for the 1st of April to pass a full year budget
you
for
can
the
do
rest
it.
of the year.
You can do it. You are budgeting East Cleveland. I know
no
you
problem.
can do it. You budget East Cleveland like I don't know
Oh,
what.
yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I can do this. This is not a difficult job for me. I don't see it that way.
I don't see it. I don't say. Okay,
Yeah,
my next question to you is, when you do become mayor, you gonna give me a job? You gonna hook me up?
Well, I don't make those kind of promises, man. But
I know. I'm just playing with you.
I keep doors open for all good. Listen, I keep doors open for all good applicants. That's how it goes.
I appreciate it. Okay. You can pick a police officer to throw on a suit and tie and wash the car and make sure he take you all to your events, your press conferences, and all your little city visits. Have him drive around. Make sure he's strapped thoroughly.
Man, that's going to be kind of fucked up. I'm going to be honest with you. I ain't never had a cop around me 24 hours a day.
Well, you're going to need him. You're going to be in Cleveland. Yeah, I know it. But you're going to be the mayor of a major metropolitan city. You're going to have to be prepared. You better be prepared.
Oh, man.
Now, if you hire me to do it, I'm going to put the M4A2 in the car. It's going to be loaded with a 30-round mag. It's going to have about 4 guns on me. I'm just letting you know now.
Like
Adolf Hitler, we gonna somebody look at you sideways, I'm gonna have to pop him. What's up? What's up?
Oh no. We ain't gonna do that now. No. We're doing kind and friendly.
Yes, sir.
Kind and friendly government. That's gonna be my focus.
Okay. So now
I think the people of Cleveland need to be spoiled at some point. I think
they spoiled enough.
Really
Come on, Eric. They spoiled enough. They getting away with so much crap. They spoiled enough. Come on. Now
when you use the word getting away with, that's different. That's a whole different concept.
I understand. That's a different
concept.
concept.
What I'm talking about is people that live in these neighborhoods with these vacant houses getting some relief.
Yeah.
These children being able to get to and from school without having to walk great distances to catch a bus.
Right.
We have people that are in this community that 30% of them do not have cars, so they have no place to go shop. We have RTA fares that are through the roof that people can't afford to catch a bus to take their families to go shopping and to do the very basic things they need in order to exist. Those are the things that we need to spoil people with. Good service in this community.
Are you able to change that?
I'm going to say ever.
Are you able to?
Absolutely, because the mayor has a lot of influence. He has appointments to the CMHA board, 4 of them from the city of Cleveland.
Okay.
And I'm not CMHA, but I mean RTA. The city of Cleveland has 4 appointments to the RTA board. The mayor has an awful lot of influence. It's what you do with that job once you get it.
Okay.
Are you there to help people, or are you there to push an agenda for other people? Okay. And my agenda is always going to be about putting Cleveland residents first.
And see, that's one of my questions. That's one of my questions that I was going to ask you. What is your plans for the safety for the citizens of Cleveland, number one? Number two, what is your plans to bring back jobs into the city of Cleveland?
Well, number one, as far as safety is concerned, I cut crime in East Cleveland with my management team by 40 to 75% over 4 years. We cut homicides from 10 and 11 down to 5. We cut robberies, rapes, assaults, all of that stuff. And the way we did that was by putting more police officers on the streets in uniforms and responding to calls and increasing visibility. We, of course, had help from the sheriff. And I'll say this, we did it without a tax increase. And if you look at my record, I don't have those damn lawsuits that Frank Jackson has for violating the civil rights of his residents. One of the things I did when I hired police officers, and I had to hire whoever came to my doors, I didn't discriminate. I met with them first. I didn't let the police chief be the one that made the determination as to who was hired. I made that determination. And I told the police officers point blank that this is my city. I went to high school here. I have family and friends here. And it's 94% black. If you got a problem with black people, take your ass someplace else. You can't work here.
Right.
I told them as well, that I know these people better than I know you because I'm only meeting you for the first time. And most of them, a lot of them have my phone number. If I get a phone call that you violated someone's rights, who I know, the chances are I'm going to believe them before I believe you.
I
So
remember,
you got some issues there that you're going to have to
I
deal with.
remember you was
Okay?
telling me a
Let me
story
finish.
about a young police officer that pulled a female over unjustly and was disrespecting her. And I know who that young police officer is, but I understood what you was coming from because it was wrong what he did. So I stand behind you on how you handled that because it was on him. He was notorious for stopping females in East Cleveland and doing some of the illegal stuff that he was doing, and you handled it. You got that call from that female, and you addressed it, and you took care of it. So I understand that part, you know.
Well, what he had done was he had used the lead system to check her out because she's a good-looking woman. He wanted to know some information about her. When she found out that he had stopped her and that was the reason for it, she called me right there while he was at the side of the car. And I told her to put him on the phone. And when he explained what he had done, I said, you better let her go. I'm not playing this shit with you.
He misused the lead system on that point. I agree. That's a misuse of it. You know, that's a misuse of it. So I agree with you on that. Yeah, officer should be checked about misuse of the lead system. I agree. But if he's doing it lawfully, if she ran a light or stop sign or stop light or whatever, and he ran her and that way, then that's lawful. But to pull her over to see who she is, what her name is, what her address is, she's a beautiful woman. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna try to hit up on it. Then no, that's illegal. He needs to be checked for that. I agree.
Yeah, and if I had known then what I knew now, he'd have been prosecuted.
you still
That's
get him.
Pretty much. No, it's that simple. And the only way to arrest and stop that stuff is to take an extremely aggressive stance towards it, make an example out of an employee, and then the other employees will see this person's been made an example out of. They'll correct their behavior automatically. Employees work that way.
Right.
Okay? And once employees know that I got 4 years, you can't put me out, especially if you're a non-resident working in the city of Cleveland where you don't even have a vote. I'm here serving the people, and I intend to be there for the 4 years that I'm there. And I had employees tell me when I took over in East Cleveland that I've seen mayors come and go in my 30 years. And I said, if you fuck up, you won't see me go. You'll go before I do.
Right.
And that's the way I roll, man. I'm not playing with people when it comes time to providing service, high quality, to the residents of Cleveland. And when I was in East Cleveland, it was the same thing there. We're going to have high service. We're going to have lower crime. We're going to have jobs for residents of Cleveland. It makes no sense to me that 82% of the jobs in Cleveland are in the hands of non-Cleveland residents. That's an abomination. All we get to do is pay taxes. Not fair. Not going to work. Not going to work at all. Okay. We've got to make some changes because the prosperity has to stay here.
Okay, so what are you going to do? Okay, I have another question that my listeners asked me to ask you. This is kind of a controversial situation. A lot of people are kind of on the fence with this. You got two sides of it, which is the bike park situation when the guys are riding around with these 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers in the city, and the city of Cleveland wants to spend over $2 million on building the bike park. What's your take on that? Are you going to continue that idea on the bike park, or are you going to find another way to handle these bikers flying up and down the street?
Well, let me just say that the bike park is something that the council passed as an ordinance. And it is the mayor's duty to enforce the ordinances passed by council. So I have no choice but to enforce that ordinance unless council rescinds it. And since council hasn't rescinded it, that ordinance and the money that's being allocated to that bike park trail is moving forward. Now, the thing that I will do different is that I will write an ordinance or have the law department write an ordinance that will make it a requirement for people selling those bikes to sell it to a licensed driver and to put tags on it before it leaves the property.
Okay, that's a good idea.
So you can't buy one of those bikes, okay? So that would then require everybody that gets one to have a license. It would require them to have a plate on that bike. And then there would be things such as the side view mirrors that are required, horns, all the safety features.
Well, are you aware? Are you aware that a lot of those dirt bikes were stolen from private owners out in rural counties like Aurora, Streetsboro, Hudson, Shard, you know, them homes where,
No.
you know, the good old boys got them,
No.
and they put it on Craigslist, and these people answer the Craigslist. They go out there and visit them, say, hey, that's a beautiful bike. Can I get on and test it up, see how it runs? And they jump on there and they take off. Most of them are stolen. So how do you control that? If the bikes are stolen, they're not going to go into a register and register that bike and get plates for it. They're stolen. So how do you handle that?
Well, I think that's kind of an over-exaggeration. I don't think that the majority of those bikes out there are stolen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there might be some that are stolen, but the bottom line is once the ordinance is passed,
mm-hmm.
requiring everybody to have a plate
mm-hmm.
and a license
mm-hmm.
to ride that sucker. If you don't have a plate, then you're going to have to deal with the citations that come from it.
Are you going to?
One of the things I'm not going to do high-speed chases after motorbike riders. Not at all.
Okay. All right. So how do you? Okay. What is your plan on how on stopping them from illegally driving on the streets without plates, without side view mirrors, without license?
I've already stated that I'm going to get this ordinance passed and come up with those requirements. That is going to be the
But if they don't follow those requirements and they flying down the street, how do we stop them?
Well, you know, the reality is we're not going to have high-speed chases after dirt bike riders.
But we got to find we have to find a solution, Mr. Mayor. We got to find a way.
That's one issue. That's not a big issue for me. I live in this community.
Mm-hmm.
I see those dirt bike riders. I am not as it's not as big an issue as Tom Meyer and Carl Monday has made it out to be. And I'm not going to just turn black kids and these other young people into terrorists because of that. I'm not doing that.
Well, no, not terrorists, but they are reckless with it. They're running into cars. They're running people. Someone died on them one time. I think it was over the summer.
Yeah, there's been 2 deaths.
Yeah.
There's been 2 deaths. And one of the guys was 35 years old. He ran a light, and he ran into a car. He's dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. You know.
But how do we stop that? Right. But how do we stop them? And how do we protect? How do we protect the other citizens of Cleveland that's driving on?
I'm not making that as big an issue.
Okay. Well, it's a big issue to the. I understand. I understand that. I understand it's not. But to the listeners that I have, they say, well, ask him about that because we are concerned when we trying to come home from church after spending all day in church and they want to come home and when they don't want to have to be harassed by these bikers and riding around circles on their car, denting their cars and running into them. No one wants to be bothered with that. And they live in the city.
I've been out there dealing with that myself for the last 5 years, and I've given you my answer. I'm going to get this ordinance passed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah.
Get it. Hey, get it passed. That way I can feel comfortable being out there. You know. Now, when you're going to when you get in, you're gonna revamp the police department. Who are you going to start with? Is it going to be Steve Loomis? You're gonna start with Steve Loomis?
No, I'm starting at I don't deal with, Steve's a patrol officer. So, I would have no interactions with him as the mayor. There's 33 unions.
Yeah, but didn't you have a problem with him at one time, or it was some type of
Steve Loomis.
You love him.
I don't know him. Never met him.
I
don't know him. Never met him. We've never had a conversation. I don't know this man.
Okay.
So he's just another employee whose face I see from time to time in the media making comments about incidents that involve the city.
So you saying he shouldn't be standing in front of a camera commenting about incidents that's going on in the city of Cleveland, like shootings or accidents or anything like that? He shouldn't be there. Is that what you're saying? Someone else.
That is not the role of a patrol officer.
Yeah, but he's with the union.
And
so if that's involving police officers, he's with the union, right?
No, that's not how it goes, bro.
Okay.
The police union doesn't pay police officer paychecks. And
well, I know that's a private entity. I understand that.
Just listen.
Okay.
Just listen. There is no equal relationship between the mayor and a patrol officer, and a patrol officer is not part of the management of a city.
Okay.
So the bottom line is that the mayor has the legal right to control the messaging for the city in matters that involve the city, not a patrol officer. Union presidents, just because they hold a union presidency, if there is no collective bargaining issue involving that incident that the officer is connected to, it's got nothing to do with the union. And if it did have something to do with the union, then it would be initiated by a grievance. And so when a grievance is initiated, and there's a role that the union plays in the management at that point, then that's when the patrol officer can speak. But if the patrol officer is speaking about homicides that involve employees killing citizens of Cleveland, they don't play a role in that, and they will not be allowed to speak, period.
Okay, so shouldn't someone from the safety director come out and speak? Instead of the union?
The mayor is the spokesman for the city.
Okay. So you're saying when an issue occurs, a shooting with a police officer or accident involving a police officer, only the mayor should come out.
Speaking on behalf of the city.
Okay, so this is something that you're going to start. This is not a mandated thing. This is something that you're going to start. Because back in the day, it usually be the safety director come out, the chief of police will come out, the deputy chief, the Cleveland police spokesman, Tomba come out, stuff like that. They'll come out and they speak on the issue. Usually the mayor come out doing press conferences to address what they're going to do about it. But usually during the incident, the police union will come out and speak based on someone's filing charges or grievances against the police officer. But the safety director, the chief will come out and they'll speak on the incident. So it's
no, that's not how things work.
But that's how it's been, though. That's how it's been. Far as Cleveland.
I mean, that's because you've had mayors that had, that's how they wanted to do things. That's fine.
You're gonna change it, though. You're gonna change it.
Bottom line is the mayor is the spokesman for the city, and I'll determine if I speak or if I want someone else to speak. It won't be employees speaking anytime they feel like they want to.
Hey, take the wheel, brother. Take the wheel. That's what I'm talking about. Take the wheel. I don't have no problem with it.
I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works. It keeps everything real simple. Okay.
Now,
and if an employee speaks out, I'm going to give you this example. I had a union president, police, who thought he could run his mouth to the media. I suspended him once. He did it again. I suspended him a second time. Okay. If he had opened his mouth one more time, he was going to be terminated.
Wow.
Okay.
You can't say his name on air, right?
It is Scott Gardner. I don't give a fuck. The point is that the way the union, so it's two suspensions, and the both was upheld by the first one was upheld by the arbitrator, because I have the right as the mayor to determine who speaks, and that's one of the things that Frank hasn't done. He hasn't been clear in who's leading the city. So he lets his subordinates go out there and do whatever they want. So that creates a confusing message.
Okay.
What you don't want happening, and this is why I think the police are having problems, is you do have these union presidents stepping in and opening their mouths in these controversial shootings, where they play no role. And the mayor hasn't controlled that. And when those union presidents show up on television, either locally or nationally, making these comments, it pisses off the citizenry. And it creates a hostility towards the police that should not exist.
So Steve Lemmer should only come out.
What I intend to do is drive down. I intend to drive down the level of hostility between the residents of Cleveland and the police. This shouldn't exist.
Okay, so
this should be peaceful cooperation between the two.
So you're gonna be doing everybody's job pretty much. You're gonna step in.
Why would you think that?
Well, you saying you're gonna keep Loomis at bay. You ain't gonna let the chief of them come out and say you're gonna do what you gotta do. You're gonna say it all. They ain't gotta do that. Go sit down somewhere. Pretty much, you got this.
No, what I'm saying is that the mayor is the spokesperson for the city.
I understand that. That's what you're saying.
The mayor determines who's going to speak on behalf of the city in all matters that involve the city. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and that's taken away from our spokesperson and the chief and the safety director. So that because they usually
that's
step
not
out.
Taken away from anything.
But are you going to give them a chance to come out and at least address the issue before you do, or are you going to step before them?
It just depends on the circumstance.
And
if I decide I want them to speak, it's up to the mayor.
Okay.
It's not up to the employee.
Okay, so let's move along here. I want to talk about street repairs and vacant homes. How are you going to handle the street repairs? Because these streets are atrocious. And these vacant homes are a nuisance, they're an eyesore, and they can be a danger to the public. So how are we going to handle that?
Well, I ran the community development department for the city of East Cleveland
All right.
twice.
Okay.
And so I'm much more acclimated to federal housing laws than any mayor probably in this country, with the exception of possibly Paul Oyasky, who is the mayor of Euclid and also the community development director for the county. So I know community development better than Frank does. I know where these dollars are going. And what should be happening is those block grant dollars should be spent on areas where the need is great. So that would mean instead of monies that's going into areas where they are not eligible for block grant funds in Cleveland, I'm going to work with the council to get those dollars moved into the areas where the need is great. That way we can deal in part with some of the vacant housing problems. The other thing that we'll have to do would be to, I've met with HUD's former secretary under George Bush. I went to D.C., and I had a meeting with Alfonso Jackson. He was the brother that Bush appointed to lead HUD. Alfonso and I talked about my plan to renovate homes that were vacant, not a perfect renovation, but a livable renovation.
Okay.
Get the house ready for occupancy, and then sell it for the cost of the renovation. So if it costs, let's say, $15,000 or $10,000 to demolish, and it would cost $15,000 to get it ready for someone to live in, we would sell that house for the $15,000 to the person.
What that's what they're currently doing right now in East Cleveland, because I got a list of homes in East Cleveland that they say you can move in, take control of the house for 2 years. You go through a tax abatement for 2 years, and then after the 2 years they come in, depending on how fast you get the house up to. Right, I understand that. I have another.
It's totally different than what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I mean, let me just
Explain
explain that.
Go ahead.
What's totally different about it is that what you're talking about is the land bank law.
Land bank, yeah.
Those are properties, or the land bank ordinance, and those are properties that are currently in East Cleveland's land bank. Cleveland has land bank properties, but there are other properties that are in other hands, HUD, Fannie Mae, banks, private lenders, that are not in the land bank, and those property owners have to be held accountable. So I'm going to write, as I did in Cleveland, in East Cleveland, a vacant property registration ordinance and ask council to pass it. It would require people who own these properties, and I don't care if it's the banks, HUD, or even the city, to keep the property maintained, boarded up, painted, fixed in good repair, and ready to be rented or sold.
Right.
If you don't, it's a fee per year it's a fee per year to leave the property vacant, but it has to be registered every year, and it can't be kept in any type of nuisance condition.
Well, some of the property owners are kind of, I understand, push it. Some of these property owners are they're impoverished too, so that's why their properties are looking like crap. Some of them are impoverished.
And that goes back to using the block grant monies the way the block grant funds were intended by HUD, which is to eliminate slum and blight. What they've been doing in Cleveland is using these block grant dollars and giving them to the community development corporations, and they've not been taking that money and pushing it into the neighborhoods. They've just been using it for commercial development, which is not the best use of those dollars. So I want the free paint program back, so that people who need paint on their homes, we can use block grant dollars for that. We need to be doing basic repairs, gutters, porches, sidewalks, curbs, driveways, those types of things. Those dollars can be used for. So I want to get back into using dollars for what their intended purpose was from the block grant program to eliminate slum and blight.
Now, it's been talk about Cleveland merging with East Cleveland and possibly, working with cities like Cleveland Heights, University Heights, and all coming into and taking over parts of East Cleveland, making it part, or what's the word I'm looking for? Making it
it's annexing.
Annexing.
The legal term is they want to annex East Cleveland to Cleveland. Yes.
But they got to first figure out what they're going to do about that dump, though. What's up with the East Cleveland dump?
Well, those are two separate issues. On the annexation, I think you want to know if I am in favor of it.
Yeah, are you in favor of it?
If the state, I'm in favor of it if the state will cover the full cost of the annexation, the liabilities that East Cleveland has, and the improvements that need to be made. Those are not burdens I'm willing to put on the taxpayers of Cleveland.
Right.
East Cleveland has close to $100 million in liabilities. Those burdens would be shouldered by the taxpayers of Cleveland.
Okay.
If we were to annex it today, I will not do that.
Okay.
They have things such as $20 million lawsuits, and there's other lawsuits that will be filed against the city if Cleveland was to pick it up as the deep pockets community. Can't do that. We got to put the money in Cleveland where it belongs first.
Right.
And so I'm not going to pick up that burden and put it on the taxpayers of East Cleveland.
Yeah, because that's going to be expected for Cleveland to pick up the big. They're going to expect Cleveland to pick up most of the bill anyway, because it's the bigger city. So I agree. Go ahead. Now, what's up with the dump?
Yep. So on the dump, I spent. It only took us about 3 weeks to get that sucker closed. When I worked with Jim Riffle, we went over and met with Harry Drummond and some of the residents on Noble Road.
Okay.
And I asked Jim to do some testing. He did some testing. Auburn Environmental is his company's name. And Jim was able to determine that there were deadly toxins over there at that dump that were actually, in our opinion, killing people.
Right.
There's a woman, Barbara Garner, who died of cancer. Ruthie Yarbrough, she died of cancer. They all lived either with the dump in their backyard or with the dump within a half a block of them. And so the toxins from that dump, we think, has hurt a lot of people. So it's being closed right now.
Okay.
But there has been no effort to let the residents in that area know that if they've been experiencing mysterious illnesses, they need to not only contact an attorney, but to see a medical provider, because they've been exposed to those deadly toxins. What they found over there were polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, benzenes, glass particles, asbestos, hydrogen sulfide gases. All of these things are carcinogenic, cancer-causing, and create all kinds of respiratory illnesses in people. And so people need to know that those toxins are there, that they've definitely been exposed, not possibly been exposed, and that if they are sick, someone's sick in their family, they need to go get legal counsel and file a claim against the owners of that dump.
Wow, and that's gonna. Matter of fact, that should be the whole neighborhood, because everybody over there is hurt.
That's exactly right.
That's terrible.
That's exactly right. So one of the things I'm doing for my campaign is I'm putting out a newspaper, 100,000 circulation, that's going to have the information that those people over there need to go and get themselves not only an attorney, but treated.
There you go. See, that's why I say you the man for the job. Because you looking out for the community, you looking out for the community, you looking out for the taxpayers, and that's why I say you the man for the job. That's why I'm asking this question, because I know my listeners and my viewers want to know, what are you gonna do for them, for the city of Cleveland, so they can vote for you. You got to let them know you there for them.
Thank you.
Despite the BS.
There's more dumps like that.
What shit?
There are 9 more dumps just like the one on Noble Road. Inside the city of Cleveland. Okay. There's one over there by the Ted Ginn Academy off of Saranac.
Yeah.
And so people in this town, there's one over there. There's one off of Buckeye. There's one over there off of Broadway, and that's not in Cleveland, but there's one that's off of Broadway, Bauman zones it, that's contaminating the Cuyahoga River.
Wow.
The debris from this crap that they have is getting into the Cuyahoga River. And that's the point that I'm making. The city of Cleveland has a contract with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency to perform air and water pollution testing
exactly.
for the county, not just the city, but for the county. So Frank Jackson and that city council is responsible for making sure our air and water is not only clean, but properly tested so it's not causing us any harm as far as deadly toxins. These dumps that exist are supposed to be licensed and inspected through the city of Cleveland.
And apparently he's not doing it. Right. Apparently it's not happening. So you're going to step up in there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're going to step in, and within your first 4 years, these are the things that you're going to address first, right?
I'm telling you, my first month, these things are going to be addressed.
Okay. Okay.
We're not waiting 4 years. I'm telling you, my first 30 days,
Okay.
we're going to inspect all 9 of those dumps, and we're going to start prosecuting the people who have them.
Okay. Okay.
They're going to have to get that crap cleaned up. I'm not waiting for 4 years. There's certain things that I'm doing day one, month one, you know, first 6 months, first year. I have a complete roadmap to some extent of what I want to accomplish, so that I'm not trying to be here 4 years and still have stuff that I promised to do at the beginning that's not done.
Right.
I want the free mobile clinics. I want physicians on EMS squads. I'm not waiting 4 years to get that done.
Okay.
My first week, I'm appointing somebody who's going to take a look at that for me and start doing the homework.
Okay.
Okay? I want to take a look at the free city hospital system again.
Okay.
We used to have a free city hospital up until 1957 when Anthony Celebrezze was the mayor, and he decided with this guy, Don Carmichael, that they were going to convert that over to the Metro Health Hospital system. The city hospital system used to be free and low cost, and the city hospital, Metro, used to be a department run by the city. It wasn't run by this independent body. We get board appointments over there, but think about what's going on. We used to have these emergency rooms in city hospitals throughout town.
Huron Road.
Now we have, Huron Road was not the city hospital in Cleveland, but it certainly was one that we used to that. But we had Ford City Hospital. We had the one over there off of Broadway. I think it was St. Alexis.
Yes.
Yep. We had more hospitals here: St. Luke's, Mount Sinai.
All
of those are gone.
Yep, they're all gone. I think St. Luke's is now an apartment complex, I believe, as a living, some type of living.
Complex
Yeah, it's an apartment complex.
Citizens.
Citizen, yeah. And Mount Sinai, what did they turn Mount Sinai into? It was something.
Mount Sinai is a big empty lot.
Big empty lot. That's what I thought. Okay, because it's empty. I used to go by there.
That's exactly what Mount Sinai is.
Yeah.
And so that's what we had, more hospital care. Now you got Metro Health. We have more emergency rooms, 5 in Cleveland. They're building one in Palmer and one in Cleveland Heights.
Okay.
Great for them, but we have the biggest contribution to Metro Health, but we're not getting the service.
Right.
Okay?
People get shot on Euclid Avenue, and they got to go all the way to Metro. That's a 15-minute drive or 20-minute drive when they're bleeding and they need emergency services immediately. So they got to bypass what could have been here at our own hospital. Now they got to go all the way down to the west side.
Yep. Just imagine if you were shot on East 185th Street.
Yes.
Off of Lakeshore Boulevard.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a long drive.
You got to get your ass over to Metro.
That's a long drive.
You'll be dead before you get there.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And so for me, think about this, right? You're a police officer. You're out there and performing a dangerous job. And so now you get injured. You get shot. You get stabbed. You're in a car crash. You're bleeding to death. So I send an EMS technician. That's not good enough for you. Your life needs to be saved.
Right.
But if I send a physician who's trauma trained on that EMS squad, you got a better chance of surviving as a law enforcement officer out there performing the duties of your job, risking your life for other people, than you would if I didn't have that in place. So you want that for yourself. You want physicians on EMS squads. You want there to be emergency rooms closer to you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Well,
you don't want the distance. You want the proximity.
I tell you this.
So everybody should be fighting for those kinds of things.
I tell you this. Had you had your way when you was in East Cleveland, or if you would have been Cleveland mayor at the time when they was trying to get rid of Huron Hospital, I don't believe it would have happened. I believe you would have kept it.
Well, let me just tell you this. There ain't no fucking way I would have let that hospital close. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, we weren't even having a conversation like that. Cleveland Clinic had invested $8 million in Huron Hospital. From right before I became mayor, where they did the renovation of the front on Terrace Road, to the time I was mayor when they did the $3.5–4 million renovation of the parking garage. I worked with Gus Kai as the president of Huron Hospital to make sure that their employees could park. So for me, we paved Terrace Road from the hospital all the way down to, I think we went all the way down to Taylor. I think we hit Taylor. I know we hit Stanwood, and I think we went beyond that. But we did new aprons, curbs, sidewalks, driveways.
Have you seen it lately?
Aprons, curbs, and sidewalks.
Have you seen it lately?
I cry when I go through East Cleveland.
Like somebody
the
threw grenades
that was
there, man.
From Huron Hospital.
Yeah.
In 2009, that was where I voted last.
Yeah.
That empty building that's there now was full when I was there in 2009 because that's where I voted.
Okay.
I look at that city and I cry.
Yes, I do too. I
scream when I see that city.
I lived in East Cleveland. I went to East Cleveland schools. I am a lover of East Cleveland. Then to look at the city go down when I come home from the United States Army and I come back to my city and I see it just going down and down and down and down. Then I grow and I work and I move back into the city and I see it go down and down and I see the streets go terrible and I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean,
man, like I said, I look at it and it's heartbreaking because of all the freaking time. Imagine I told you I do 4 hours of sleep. Mm-hmm. I'm single. Mm-hmm. So that means that on my day, I'm putting 12 hours a day, 16 hours sometimes on the city's problems. I have residents telling me, you need to slow down.
Slow down with just 4 hours sleep. You're damn right, because you're going to fuck around and have a heart attack. You better slow down.
That's exactly what they were telling me. That's right.
4 hours sleep? No.
But
no, you're not. What's his name? Einstein, because I think he only slept. I think he took cat naps. So.
Well, that's how I live throughout the day. So when I tell you I'm going to take a nap, I get my 4 hours, but I take 30 minutes here. Maybe I do an hour depending upon, what I've got going on for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. I put my time in. I probably on average with my cat naps, I'm probably picking up 6 hours of sleep a day.
You get more than me, brother. Listen, I want to move to another question that my listeners and viewers asked me to put down, and it is the LGBT community. Do you support the LGBT community?
I support people, so it's not as much as a singular group. It's that I don't discriminate, and whoever comes through the door is qualified. Now, specifically for the LGBT community, I hired, and I'm not going to put their business out in the streets because that didn't matter. Okay. But, I had a cabinet member who was gay. I promoted sergeants who were gay, but it didn't matter. I didn't think about it. I just looked at the person. Do you have the skills for this job? Are you, can we get along? And they got hired, So it wasn't an issue as far as I was concerned. And some of the things that I would do specifically would be, I think, for example, you got a guy on the police department. I can't think of his name right now. He's white police officer who goes out in plain clothes and he hangs around gay bars trying to get gay men to either have sex with him as a prostitute or I don't want to call it the oral sex detail, but he's pretending that he's going to give them oral sex. Never heard
that detail on the police department. That's a new one there.
Humiliating personally. Yeah, I got the guy's picture.
Oh my God!
And I'm looking at some of the cases. Now I look at the cases because I read. What I do is I read some of the cases that are being filed against Cleveland in the federal court and the court of common pleas. Some of the defenses that people are offering for themselves. I kind of look at those things just to get an idea of how the law is looking at police work. So I'm looking at this one thing, and this guy used to hang out over there at the Bounce Gay Bar over on West 28th Street.
Yeah.
And he'd drive around. Yeah, he drive around pretending to be gay, entrapping gay men. I ain't gonna do no shit like that.
Wow. Well, like I said, my listeners and my viewers wanted to know because of the last situation that, I know you don't want to talk about it, but, because of that situation, they was thinking, well, damn, is he part of that group? And they wanted to know, were you part of that group, and do you support it? That's why they asked me to ask you that question.
Well,
to each his own,
Well, I'm not gonna explain.
Right.
Things I do. I think in my motions and court pleadings that night, the explanation is in public, and I've explained that. That night, I was coming from a private home with some friends where I was doing a stand-up comedy routine in drag. I had been, talking to friends about getting involved in entertainment
Now,
with all that
why
stuff that
you
happened.
didn't? Why did you sell tickets to that? So I could have been there and saw that shit, man. Come on, you should have sold tickets to that.
You know what? I think it. Well, the goal was to, do the dry run and then get into this thing professionally.
Okay.
And so I had kind of looked at that. I've done some stand-up comedy. I sing. I play trumpet. I've been playing trumpet since I was 9. I'm 63. That's 54 years.
No, you really got to come in. You really got to come in the studio to do that. You got to come in the studio to do that. I got to hear you.
I mean, yeah, I used to play with groups like Spellbound, The Chosen Few, Clarence Niles and Thrust. In San Antonio, I played with Chill Factor. Duke Fakir let me sing on stage and close out a show with the Four Tops at the Palace Theater. I sang with the Shy Lights out in Westlake.
Oh, shit.
The members of the Daz Band, they're good friends of mine. The ones, Bobby Harris, Mike Calhoun. I used to take all their pictures. Plus, I worked in the record business as the national publicity director for Irish Music. Where I worked with recording artists. When I was a photographer in San Antonio and in Cleveland for my newspapers, I was always at the concerts, backstage with the artists, and I met a ton of artists. So in my world, entertainment is much a part of my world as politics, and I've had kind of an interchangeable life. I could go either way. So for me, I wasn't looking at politics at that time in my life. I was looking at entertainment. I was looking to move to New York. I was looking to see, how to convert some of the things that had happened to me into an income opportunity. And that's what was going on that particular night.
Honestly, I don't think it's going to affect your campaign at all because, you got a lot of LGBT people in the city that probably support you. So I don't think it'll hurt your campaign at all. You could still run and still have this background of people going, ooh, he just eating nails and wheat. So, okay, but what is his political views and how is he going to take care of the city? That should be the main focus, right?
Well, the other part is I don't give a fuck. I might show up at the City Club debate and drag. You know what I mean? I'm already,
you already known to do that, right?
They got an overflow crowd. You know what I'm saying?
I understand
so
that.
If I roll in like that, I'm guaranteed to get national attention.
Please let me know that day so I can be there.
Up in here.
I want to be there so I can see. I'm gonna have my camera going, man, because I gotta have that. Because I love it, man.
And my attitude is, if motherfuckers want to see me looking like that, you're going to pay, goddammit.
You might as well get paid.
Why would I go and give that shit away for free? You know what I mean? Let's do a comedy show.
Right.
$50 to $75 a ticket. You come in, pay the price, and I'll get up and do whatever the fuck. We have a good time. My point to you is that I don't know that things that happen in any of our lives are up to us to make a determination as to what we want to explain. And so I'm running for mayor, and how I live, whether I'm right now having a conversation with you with a suit on, a dress on, or I'm butt-ass naked, those things don't necessarily matter.
I'm betting you butt-ass naked right about now.
Probably. It's a little warm outside.
I can imagine you. No, hey,
man.
I can.
Come on,
I can get my viewers a visual that you sitting in your chair with high heels on and some fishnet stockings and with a nice fat bud going on.
No fishnet. No, but the butt ass naked would probably be closer to right. So the point is that it's one of those things where, you don't deserve to know everything that's going on in my life, and I'm not going to discuss it.
I understand. That's your private life. I agree.
Right. And I'm not running on lifestyle. I'm running on what I can do.
What you can do for this city. Exactly. What you can do for this city. And that's
up to you.
That's my thing. What can you do for me? Because I live in this city. My family live in this city. My exes live in this city. Well, I don't care about that. But I'm saying, what you what you gonna do for them? You know what I'm saying?
Wait a minute, bro. There was one that you really did care about.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't go there, man. Okay, now I got. You silly, man.
People forget that I've had 3 radio shows, man. This is my farm right here, okay?
You're right. Because, I was mad at you, too, because I was mad at you because you had came in hard on me, and I was like, damn, I thought Eric was my boy. He gonna crack on
Well,
me
you
like that?
know,
You know, I was having a serious
well,
moment at the time. You know, you came in
I
hard on
know,
me.
man. I was feeling you. I was feeling you, but sometimes, I mean, you throw a little piece out, it comes back. I
Right.
mean, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, I saw you at the church that day where that lady was flipping, talking about throw him off the property. He can't be over here. And I was like, well, I'm not throwing. This my man. I ain't throwing him off the. And then I had a flashback. Wait a minute, Eric did dog me on Facebook. I need to throw his ass. I said, no,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do him like that. That's my dude.
No,
That's why.
man, no.
That's
It
why
might
I
have been. It
defended you. That's why I
it might have
defended you.
been worse on Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
you know.
Yeah.
But what's funny though, and let's just take a look at that example.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are at a church, Steve Rowan's church, and okay, fine. You don't want me passing out stuff. Now I'm just talking to people that I know. You, Edwin, and others. Okay. Now you don't want me on the property. Now wait a minute. Okay, you're a church person. You're a Christian. This is how you treat people. Okay.
I was shocked.
Now,
I was
I
shocked.
get to be mayor. I'm serious. I mean, let's say I get to be mayor. Now that church wants me to come and speak.
Okay.
And I go and I got a real unfavorable attitude about a member of that church.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand that. But see,
okay.
I had called you about it, and I told you, well, this is what had happened to me. You know, I got an issue with her because she came at me after you had left. So let's change that subject because I'm running out of time. I do want to talk to you about when you become mayor and you get in his office and you do all the things that you say you're going to do and you plan on doing it. Man, I'm telling you, I hope it works for you. I want you to be able to take care of everybody in this city. I want you to be able to do everything you say you do within the 4 years. And if you do it and it works out fine and you get you run again, I hope you get reelected because, frankly, I don't think the rest of your opponents have what you have. They don't have the experience that you have. They don't have the energy that you have. They don't have even the community support that you have. So I'm wishing you luck on this, Eric. I'm gonna have to end the segment, but I want you to understand where I'm coming from. Okay, I want you to understand that there's people out there, including my viewers and my listeners, that want to see change in the city of Cleveland. They need help. There are people in this city that are suffering, not only financial, but they're suffering emotionally because of all the crap that goes on through the city administration. They're not supporting us. They're not coming out and saying, I apologize for the streets being terrible. Did you see he said, well, we're just going to fix a few streets. All they doing is just throwing topsoil over the holes. They're not tearing up the whole streets and repaving the entire street completely. They just putting Band-Aids over the trouble. They're not fixing it.
Man.
And we
exactly
want you to do it.
You talk about billions being spent downtown, billions being spent downtown, and this idiot, bragging that he spent $356 million in the neighborhoods over 12 years.
Where?
I mean, we're talking about $1.7 million a year, man. You ain't spent no money. Okay? $1.7 million a year per ward. That's what they're talking about. 17 wards, $1.7 million a year per ward, but that $356 million that Frank said was spent in the neighborhood over 12 years. It's a joke, and people should take it as a joke. And it's more than a joke; it's an insult. The people in this community are paying for everything. We don't have the jobs. We got crime that's going through the roof. We got suburbanites coming into our community, taking our wealth out, treating us like animals. And this man is standing around on corners, waving around Clevelanders, trying to make it seem like, hey, I'm one of you, talking that BS. I cannot stand this crap. Tamir Rice's great-grandmother was my vice president of city council in East Cleveland. And when I saw her great-grandson killed by 12 years old by a Cleveland cop under Frank Jackson, when Frank and I sat down when I was the publisher of the Cleveland Challenger, and I was beaten up on the Campbell administration for those 24 shootings in her first 27 months in office, I said to Frank, you got to take care of this stuff if you get in office. And after 12 years and 100 bodies more under Frank, I'm not hearing it now.
Right.
I ain't hearing it.
It's gonna
he hasn't taken care of us.
It's gonna be different
under. He doesn't love us. He loves everything but us. And I'm bringing love back to us, man. We don't have ours. It's our damn time right now.
So under your lead, it's going to be much different. Of you saying?
Man, come on, man. Clevelanders are going to get spoiled. They're not going to get abused. They're not going to get overly policed. They're not going to be overly criminally charged. They're not going to be just paying taxes and not having access to jobs at City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do the same thing as CMHA, the school district. Why do we have kids from the suburbs coming into Cleveland schools, taking the best schools and the best classes for themselves, while our kids are standing out the door and we paying the fucking taxes? It ain't going down. We spent $1 billion educating kids. For 36,000 kids, that's $27,777 per child. That is university and Hawkins school tuition. They should be geniuses at that money. But yet those dollars are going into the pockets of people who work for the school district, the contractors, and everybody else. Pimping that system is not helping our kids. Where are the music programs in our schools again?
Mm-hmm.
Well, our kids are learning instruments
Right.
like I did starting in the 3rd grade at 9 years of age. And we're giving them free instruments or maybe rented instruments so that they can at least start building up again.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that going on, man. We don't have the building trades back in the schools teaching kids the carpentry skills, the plumbing skills, the pipe fitting skills that'll make them $25 and $30 an hour. Well, we got a glut right now. We only have 1.8 million construction workers in the United States. We don't have enough to cover the work that needs to be done. So we got to bring people in from out of the country to perform jobs that we should be performing here with Americans. And I'm telling you, man, we're going back to something that's very basic. We're going to take care of Cleveland first.
Okay.
We're going to take care of Clevelanders first.
And listeners,
okay?
That was
yes,
Eric Jonathan Brewer on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. He kept it 100. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I wanted you to call in, because I knew I was going to get the real Eric Brewer. I wasn't going to get no bullshit. That's why I said you going to come on this show, and you going to be yourself. I want you to tell me what you think, what you going to do, and I want to hear it. I want listeners and my viewers wanted to hear it. So thank you. That's what I'm talking about. All right? Now,
thank you, man.
Appreciate you. I want you to come again, call in again. We're going to talk some more, especially when you get in. All right?
Got you.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to talk to you again, all right, sir? Thank you.
Nice show. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your engineer.
And thank you for coming on the show and giving us this hour.
You got it, bro.
Okay,
Take care.
Take care.